Have you ever felt that someone was watching, not with eyes, but with intention? A force, ancient, silent, and intelligent. A gatekeeper that stands between the mundane and the sacred. There are truths in this world that cannot be bought, taught, or even found. They can only be revealed, and only to those who are ready. Because hidden wisdom does not come to those who chase it out of curiosity. It comes to those who become worthy of its presence. Throughout history, mystics have whispered that sacred knowledge is alive, not metaphorically, but truly. That it is a current, a frequency, a conscious force that scans the soul of the seeker and decides whether to open its gates. This video is not a lesson, it is a key. A key to understanding why some souls seem to awaken naturally, while others remain asleep, even when surrounded by spiritual teachings. Why certain individuals receive intuitive downloads, synchronicities, and moments of divine clarity, while others endlessly consume information and feel nothing. It's not intelligence that opens the door. It's willingness. The willingness to shed illusion. The willingness to rise. The willingness to be transformed. In this video, we will explore what this hidden wisdom really is and why it behaves like a guardian rather than a gift. We'll uncover its ancient roots in esoteric philosophy, how it chooses the individual, and how you can tune yourself into the state that allows it to flow into your life. You'll discover what this living wisdom actually is, why it only responds to certain states of being, and how to harness it not by force, but by alignment. If you've ever felt like the universe is speaking to you, but only in fragments. If you've sensed a deeper truth vibrating just behind the veil of ordinary life, then listen closely. Because this is not just information, it is activation. To understand the nature of hidden wisdom, we must first confront a paradox, that what is most sacred is also most guarded, not by locks or secret societies, but by vibration. And vibration, unlike knowledge, cannot be faked. In the Hermetic tradition, knowledge is not seen as something acquired, but as something remembered. The Corpus Hermeticum speaks not just of laws of nature, but of the process of inner transmutation, the idea that divine truth reveals itself only when the soul is ready to receive it, not mentally ready, but vibrationally aligned. Plato echoed this in his dialogues. He spoke of anamnesis, the idea that all true knowledge is already within us, buried deep beneath layers of forgetfulness. The process of learning is not discovery, it is remembering. But only a soul purified through philosophical practice and inner elevation can recall what has been forgotten. The mystery schools of Egypt, Greece, and Babylon understood this well. In the temple of Isis, it was said, "None may enter who has not been born twice." This rebirth was not physical, it was spiritual. Initiates underwent symbolic death, purging their ego and attachments, in order to be entrusted with sacred knowledge. Because they knew, wisdom is not safe in the hands of the unprepared. Similarly, in the alchemical texts of the Middle Ages, the great work was never merely about transforming lead into gold. It was the metaphor for elevating the base nature of the self into its divine counterpart. The lead was the dense ego. The gold was the awakened soul. And the alchemical fire? That was the process of purification, burning away illusion through trials, shadow work, and awakening. In every tradition, from the Kabbalistic tree of life to the Sufi path of annihilation, we see this recurring pattern. Hidden wisdom does not come to the seeker. It waits until the seeker becomes its reflection. This is why sacred texts often seem closed to the casual reader. Why the Bhagavad Gita or the Tao Te Ching may seem like poetic riddles until something in you clicks and suddenly the page becomes a mirror. It is because the meaning isn't in the words. It's in your state of being when you meet them. And this leads to the great esoteric principle. Consciousness is the gatekeeper of wisdom. Not desire, not study, not cleverness. Only when the vibration of your being begins to rise through inner discipline, sincerity, and readiness does hidden knowledge begin to unfold. Not all at once, not loudly, but like petals opening in the morning light. And when it does, it's not just something you understand, it's something you become. Because the highest wisdom is not information, it is transformation. So what exactly is this hidden wisdom? It is not a book. It is not a doctrine. It is a living intelligence that flows through the cosmos like an underground river, visible only to those who have learned to see with more than just eyes. Hidden wisdom is the encoded memory of the universe, itself imprinted in nature, in sacred geometry, in the resonance of your breath, in the very architecture of consciousness. It is the blueprint behind reality, and it reveals itself only when your internal state becomes harmonious with its frequency. Imagine walking through a massive library where all the books are blank. No matter how many pages you turn, nothing appears. But then one day, you step into that same library, and as your hand touches the paper, the text begins to write itself. Not because the book changed, but because you did. This is how hidden wisdom works. It is reactive, not passive. It doesn't sit and wait to be discovered. It listens for the signal of readiness. And what is that signal? It is a shift in consciousness. Not intellectual understanding, but energetic transformation. Hidden wisdom becomes available when you begin to release the identity built on fear, survival, and separation, and step into a state of expanded awareness. In this state, your frequency begins to resonate with the source code of creation. That's when downloads happen. Insights appear, synchronicities multiply, and spiritual teachings that once sounded like riddles suddenly feel like home. Let's break this down with a metaphor. Think of a crystal radio, an ancient device that can receive transmissions without external power, as long as it is tuned to the right frequency. You are the radio. The wisdom is already being broadcast, but your ability to receive it depends entirely on your tuning your mental clarity, your emotional state, your spiritual receptivity. When you're vibrating in fear, ego, distraction, or resentment, your receiver is clogged. The signal is there, but distorted. You might get fragments, a phrase in a book that catches your eye, a moment of déjà vu, a dream that feels symbolic, but it passes quickly without anchoring. But when your inner field is clear, when you're aligned with presence, intention, and sincerity, then the signal sharpens. Messages become unmistakable. Inner knowing ignites. And the wisdom doesn't just reach you, it moves through you. And here is the deeper truth. Hidden wisdom chooses you when your life becomes a vessel for its expression. That means your actions, your words, your integrity all become part of the invitation. You don't just learn the truth, you begin to live it, and that is what unlocks the deeper levels. The Gnostics spoke of gnosis, not as accumulated knowledge, but as direct experience of the divine. That experience is what turns passive seekers into initiated beings. So if you've ever wondered why certain insights come to you only in moments of stillness, why some spiritual truths feel so obvious at one moment and completely elusive the next, it's not because the wisdom vanished. It's because the vessel changed. Wisdom does not rush. It waits. It tests. And when you are truly ready, it floods. Let us now explore the deeper mechanics behind why hidden wisdom chooses only those willing to elevate consciousness. It's not simply a reward for being spiritual. It's not given to those who follow rituals blindly or memorize ancient texts. Hidden wisdom follows a law of resonance, a universal principle that governs energy, frequency, and truth. Everything in the universe is vibration. This includes your thoughts, emotions, and intentions. When your inner state is clouded by fear, ego, comparison, or spiritual pride, it creates interference in your vibrational field. It doesn't matter how much you seek knowledge on the outside. If your inner signal is distorted, truth cannot land. This is why some of the most educated seekers remain stuck in confusion, while others, seemingly ordinary people, awaken in moments of deep humility or crisis. Because it is not effort that unlocks wisdom, it is alignment. Now let's consider a subtle but important point. Wisdom is not information. It is activation. When hidden knowledge reaches you in the right moment, it does not simply teach you something, it changes your state of being. It's as if a forgotten part of you reawakens. You remember something you never knew you knew. That is how you know it is real. This is also why wisdom often comes wrapped in paradox. To elevate consciousness, one must first surrender the need to understand. To gain access to divine knowledge, you must become empty, free of assumptions, ego, and control. This emptiness creates a space for truth to enter. It is a sacred vacuum, and wisdom rushes in to fill it. Many ancient traditions encoded this truth into their initiation processes. In the Eleusinian mysteries of ancient Greece, initiates underwent symbolic death and rebirth. They were stripped of identity, ritualistically lost in darkness, and then led into the light. This wasn't theater, it was vibrational preparation. Only by dying to the lower self could the higher wisdom take root. In Eastern traditions, the path of Zen often teaches through koans riddles that cannot be solved by logic. Why? Because their purpose is not to explain, but to collapse the mind, forcing the seeker into a state of presence beyond thought. And it is in that moment, when the ego yields, that wisdom strikes like lightning. Similarly, in the Kabbalah, the hidden Sephirot are not given to the initiate. They are revealed through layers of introspection, moral refinement, and inner ascent. The tree of life is not just a map, it is a mirror. The higher you rise in consciousness, the more the pattern reveals itself within you. So we return to the key, willingness. Not passive interest, not escapist fantasy, but deep, often painful willingness to dissolve, to shed, to evolve. Hidden wisdom watches the soul that is willing to let go of comfort, illusion, and identity in pursuit of something real. And here lies the paradox. You don't earn the wisdom, you become transparent enough for it to pass through you. Like light through a prism, it reveals itself in color only when you no longer try to control it. So ask yourself, am I seeking knowledge to protect my current identity or to transform it? Am I chasing truth or creating space for it to arrive? Because hidden wisdom doesn't come when you're ready to possess it. It comes when you're ready to be possessed by it. So how do you make yourself ready? How do you become a vessel clear enough, honest enough, receptive enough for hidden wisdom to enter? The answer is not found in external mastery, but in internal alignment. And alignment is cultivated through practice. Not mechanical repetition, but living practice rooted in sincerity and presence. Here are several practical techniques and approaches that can prepare your being to receive wisdom that cannot be taught but only remembered. 1. Silence as a portal. Begin each day with at least 5 to 10 minutes of true silence, not just the absence of sound, but the absence of distraction. No phone, no music, just breath and awareness. Wisdom often speaks in whispers, and if your internal noise is too loud, you will never hear its call. 2. Watch your intent. Before reading sacred texts, watching spiritual content, or engaging in ritual, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is it to gain power? To impress? To feel special? Or is it to humble yourself before truth? Purify your intent, and the gates begin to open. 3. Create a wisdom journal. Start a sacred notebook used only for what resonates deeply. Write down dreams, synchronicities, intuitions, patterns you notice. The act of documenting is not for memory, but for recognition. Over time, you'll see that wisdom has been trying to speak to you all along. 4. Practice energetic fasting. Just as you fast from food to cleanse the body, fast from noise to cleanse your mind. Choose one day a week to avoid social media, superficial conversations, or stimulation. Instead, read sacred texts slowly, reflect in nature, or simply be. This emptiness becomes fertile ground for deeper insight. 5. Develop discernment, not judgment. One of the hallmarks of the awakened seeker is the ability to sense energy. Learn to listen to your inner resonance. If something feels off, even if it sounds impressive, pause. Hidden wisdom often comes in subtle frequencies. What activates your soul is not always what dazzles your mind. 6. Elevate by serving. A counterintuitive truth. When you shift your focus from seeking wisdom to becoming a channel for it, something changes. Offer your presence to others. Speak when your heart is clear. Ask, how can I be of service to truth? The more you align with the purpose of wisdom, the more it flows through you. 7. Stay in the questions. The ego wants answers. The soul grows through questions. Instead of forcing conclusions, sit with questions like, what is blocking me from truth right now? Where am I still clinging to identity? What am I unwilling to release? Sometimes the act of asking sincerely is the very vibration that unlocks the next layer of truth. 8. Ritual as reminder: light a candle, burn incense, bow in stillness, not because the act itself has power, but because it reminds you of what does. Sacred rituals help the subconscious shift from mundane mode into reverent openness. Create sacred space within and without, and wisdom will meet you there. Obstacles you may face. Impatience. Wisdom moves at soul speed, not ego speed. Doubt. Often a sign you're getting close. Doubt guards the final door. Over-intellectualizing. Don't just understand the truth. Become it. Let it shape your choices, your relationships, your tone of voice, your silence. Remember, wisdom responds to frequency. And every choice you make, what you consume, how you speak, what you tolerate, is either refining or distorting your frequency. Your life is your initiation. Treat it as sacred, and the sacred will begin to reveal itself. There is a saying in the mystical traditions, when the student is ready, the teaching appears. But the part that's often forgotten is what comes next. When the soul is pure, the teaching speaks. Throughout this journey, we've uncovered a powerful truth. Hidden wisdom is not something you find. It is something that finds you. It is not earned by effort, but by elevation. It is not granted to the curious, but to the devoted. It doesn't come through knowledge, comes through alignment. You've seen that sacred knowledge is alive, responsive, and selective. It watches the soul. It listens to vibration. And when you begin to live in resonance with truth, wisdom becomes not just something you know, but something you are. So now the invitation is clear. Stop chasing. Start tuning. Let every moment become part of your preparation. Choose silence over noise, sincerity over performance, service over ego. Because in doing so, you signal to the universe, I am willing. I am willing to elevate. I am willing to be changed. I am willing to be chosen not by chance, but by choice. And when that choice is real, when your life begins to reflect the very truths you seek, the gate opens. So, if something in you has stirred, if the words you've heard feel less like information and more like a remembering, then trust it, honor it, and begin. Because wisdom is not waiting on the mountaintop. It's been whispering inside you all along. You were never seeking it. It was always seeking you. If this message awakens something within you, subscribe to the channel and tap the bell. Each video is more than knowledge. It's a doorway. Step through. The path has only just begun.